Ellis, when you look at it, the names aren't nearly as big as they were on the offensive side of the ball. But again, you can see what the Browns are thinking, what they're trying to do. Here's a list of who they've signed, and most of them are younger. They're not on big contracts, so they haven't committed a bunch of money forward. They just signed Andrew Zendejo, and he's a little bit of an older guy, $2.5 million for 1 year, a safety who has played a lot with Minnesota. Now, the two guys that I really like, Kevin Johnson, cornerback Carl Joseph, both former first-round picks, kind of in that in the teens, that haven't really performed like first-round picks, but you put them in a different system, you get them some different coaching. They could really, the Browns may really have something. I really like Joseph as well. They needed the safeties. They went out and addressed some of the areas they need. Just your take on what they've done here on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, so really it's the tale of two extremes. On the offensive side, as we just talked about, a lot of big names, household names, big money contracts. The defense, on the other hand, these are calculated dart throws, if you will. As you've been saying, 1 year contracts with guys who have had promise but underperformed. And I think that's a calculated approach. You're not going to, get every player you want in free agency, and you can't mortgage your entire future trying to acquire talent just for 1 year. The Los Angeles Rams are paying for that right now. We saw them get rid of Todd Gurley. They've got very little draft capital. When you go all in and miss, it can cost you. So, for example, Mary Kay Cabot, cleveland.com, reported a few days ago that the Browns were exploring trade options for safety Anthony Harris of the Vikings. He was expected to be available on the market, but the Vikings did some crafty work, negotiating and extending Kirk Cousins' contract in order to free up about like 11, 12 million for Anthony Harris to slap him with a franchise tag. So then the only way to acquire Harris would be via trade. From what Mary Kay reported, it sounds like the Vikings want a second round pick. That seems steep, so maybe a third round pick and a player. That remains to be seen. That could happen. But right now we got to deal with what is in front of us and who the Browns have acquired. And these are stopgap players, but they're sound. And on top of the signings, I think one way to frame this with the Browns defense is they're going to get back players who were already rostered, but who were absent towards the end of the year. We all know about Myles Garrett in that situation. He's coming back and will return, and I'm sure with a chip on his shoulder. And then another name I want to mention is Olivier Vernon. There was a lot of speculation, and for good reason, that Vernon would be released. He's going to be the highest paid player on the team next year, and currently is at about like low 14 million, creeping into the $15 million range. And he, of course, suffered that knee injury last year, and it probably isn't worth that money. But I like the flexibility it provides Barry and Stefanski and the staff, where if you have Vernon on the team, he, of course, is a talented player and will play big minutes for them. But if they find themselves in a situation where they want to create some cap space, they can cut him, no dead money, and you've got another 15 million to add to that graphic we had down low earlier. So again, tales of two ways to approach free agency. They address big needs on the offense. They're going to try and figure things out as they go on defense. Again, Joe Woods preaches a bend but don't break type of style. And it's hard to build a perfect roster in the NFL. It's impossible. So if you're going to be weak in some places, they've decided to be weaker on the defensive side of the ball, and specifically at linebacker. And we still got some time to see where this goes. But right now, it seems like the Browns are going to be run first, control the ball, take their shots, and they're going to have a defense centered around their front, a talented front: Myles Garrett, Olivier Vernon, Sheldon Richardson, Larry Gonjovi, Chad Thomas. These are talented guys up front, and then a couple of first-round picks in Denzel Ward, Greedy Williams, and the signings, as you said. So the defense is, it's going to be fine. It'll be okay, but this is going to be an offensive-focused team until they make some more moves going forward.